Phew. I've been thinking about off-body carry, and specifically, I've been thinking about why the conversation around it is just so absolute. Before I continue, I just want to let you guys know that the giveaway for this IFAK is still ongoing. Details on how to enter are in the description down below. One last thing before I get into this, I do want to say that I'm going to break this up into several different videos. This ended up being a really long read, and I want to make sure that they are released that are in a way that are digestible and not overwhelming all at once. I have 4 bags here today: the Savior Equipment Obscura, the ITS Tactical Discreet Messenger Bag, the Victos Range Trainer Duffel, and the Broke Village DSCB version 1. These are not for direct competitors. It's not even close. One is a purpose-built concealed carry sling bag. One is a large modular messenger bag designed more than 15 years ago. One is a 44-liter range, travel, and equipment duffel. And one is an extremely lightweight drawstring EDC bag. I have traveled with all 4 of these. I have used all 4 of them extensively. And that's exactly why I chose them for this video. Because if the only question is whether a bag can physically contain a firearm, all 4 of them can do that. So can a grocery bag? That's an almost useless standard. The question I keep coming back to is, what does a bag have to do before we can honestly call it a carry system? Because I don't think off-body carry is simply carrying a firearm somewhere other than your waistband. I think of it as a separate carry system. Once the firearm enters the bag has to provide trigger protection, holster retention, orientation, access, concealment, and continuous physical control. Most bags solve some of the problems. Very few of them solve all of the problems. And the more I've thought about this, the more I've realized that the absent holster, the thing that I thought originally that this entire discussion was going to be about, is really only one part of a much larger problem. It's an important part. Probably the most obvious part, the most immediately obvious part, but it's still only one part. So before we talk about the bags, let's talk about the system. What is off-body carry? That sounds like a ridiculous question. It's in the name. The gun is off your body. There, video over. But I think there is an important distinction between carrying a firearm, transporting a firearm, and storing a firearm. Those words get blurred together constantly. If I put a pistol in a locked compartment inside a travel bag and place that bag in the trunk of my vehicle, I'm transporting it. If I lock a firearm inside a bag and leave it secured somewhere, I'm storing it. If the firearm is immediately available for defensive use and the bag remains attached or under the direct control of the person carrying it, now we're talking about off-body carry. Those 3 situations can use the exact same bag, but they're not the exact same mission. Different missions create different priorities. For transportation, I might prioritize security, right? Padding, capacity, protection from damage, lockable zippers, separation from ammunition or other equipment when required. Immediate access may not matter at all. In fact, immediate access may be exactly what I don't want. For storage, resistance to unauthorized access becomes much more important. I'm no longer asking how quickly I can retrieve the firearm. I'm asking whether somebody else can retrieve it. Defensive carry is entirely different. The firearm has to be both secure and accessible. It also needs to be concealed and repeatable. protected, and immediately available. Those requirements are constantly fighting each other. If you make access easier, you may also make unauthorized access easier. If you add more security, you may make the draw slower or more complicated. If you hide the firearm deeper in the bag, you may improve concealment, but you're going to destroy consistency. That tension exists both on body carry and off body carry as well. But when you carry on your body quietly solves several of those problems for you. When I carry a handgun in my waistband, the holster protects the trigger and also retains the pistol. My belt anchors the holster, my clothing conceals it, and my body maintains general location. Unless something goes catastrophically wrong, the entire system remains physically attached to me. When the gun enters a bag, however, the bag has to replace all of that. It doesn't just replace the holster, it replaces the belt, it replaces the clothing, and the body as well. That's a much bigger job than people give it credit for. Why carry off body at all? This is usually where the discussion becomes judgmental. Someone asks about carrying in a bag and immediately gets told to buy a better belt and stop making excuses. I don't think that's helpful, really. There are legitimate reasons someone might want to choose off body carry. Clothing can make conventional concealment difficult. Professional dress can make it difficult. Athletic clothing can make it difficult. Certain physical limitations can make it difficult. I'm a big guy. Sometimes I choose off-body carry myself. Some people just can't tolerate the pressure from a belt or a holster. Some people may need to carry additional medical equipment or communication gear or ordinary daily items that already require a bag. Sometimes a bag allows someone to maintain a consistent setup while their clothing changes. And sometimes a person simply carries more consistently with a bag than they do with a holster attached to the waistband. That matters. The firearm left at home because the perfect carry method was too uncomfortable, it's not doing much. But I don't think that we should pretend that the methods are equal. Off body carry gives you options, it also gives you responsibilities that do not exist in the same way that on body carry does. Let's look at an obvious example. I cannot casually leave my waistband on the back of a restaurant chair. A bag, however, people are constantly putting them down. Whether they're throwing them in the back seat of a car, hanging them off to a friend, hanging them on the back of a chair, putting them on the floor of a bathroom stall. This is completely normal behavior when we're talking about a bag that doesn't contain a firearm. But as soon as you put a firearm inside that bag, it's going to become a lot less normal. So I don't think that off body carry is automatically irresponsible, but I do think that it is far less forgiving. It requires you to treat an ordinary looking object in a completely unordinary way. From the moment that a firearm is put inside a bag, that bag is no longer just luggage, it's part of your weapon retention system. And I don't think that people naturally think about it that way. The first problem, trigger protection. Let's start with the obvious one. The trigger has to be protected completely. That means that the firearm should not be simply floating inside of a compartment with keys, pens, cables, flashlights, whatever junk manages to reproduce itself inside of your bag. There's always something. Nothing should be able to enter your trigger guard. Nothing should be able to pass through the material and manipulate the trigger. And the firearm should remain protected while the bag is carried, opened, moved, dropped, placed on a table, placed on its side, or packed with other equipment. This is where people often use the phrase dedicated compartment. And a dedicated compartment is better than dropping the gun into the main cavity. But a compartment is not automatically a holster. A zipper does not protect the trigger. A fabric divider does not necessarily protect the trigger. And a field of hook and loop does not protect the trigger. Those things help create a system, but they are not the complete system. For me, the cleanest answer is still a proper holster, preferably one that is actually designed around a firearm being carried. A fitted Kydex holster gives us a rigid trigger protection, and it provides defined retention, and it preserves access to the grip. Also, assuming that we anchor it correctly, it gives the firearm a consistent location inside the bag. That last part matters, because a perfect holster that is loose inside the compartment is still a loose object inside the compartment. The holster cannot merely hold the gun. The bag has to hold the holster. That brings us to the distinction, I think, that gets missed constantly. Firearm retention is not holster retention. People talk about retention as though it's one problem. It's at least two. First, does the holster retain the firearm? Second, does the bag retain the holster or your belt? It goes both ways for both types of carry. Those are not the same question, however. A Kydex holster might hold the pistol perfectly, but if I attempt to access the firearm and I end up pulling the entire holster out with it, the pistol was retained, but the system still failed. That's why I no longer think every off-body carry bag necessarily needs to include a holster. An included holster sounds good. It makes the product feel complete. You open the box, install the sleeve, put your pistol in it, and you're finished. Good to go. Let's rock. Except, universal holsters are compromises by definition. They have to accommodate different slide lengths, different trigger guards, different optics, different lights, and different grip dimensions. They cannot be precisely fitted to everything because they are designed around almost nothing in particular. A bag that includes a universal holster sleeve may technically include a holster, but that doesn't mean that the manufacturer solved the holster problem. Let's talk about orientation. This is one of those problems that sounds small until you actually think through what the bag is doing during the day. A waistband holster stays roughly in the same location and roughly the same orientation. There is some shift as you're moving and running about, but it's typically in close enough to the same spot that we can call it the same spot. A bag, it's going to move, and it swings, it shifts, it leans, it gets placed on its side, it gets shoved into a vehicle, it rests upright against a chair and then falls over the moment someone bumps the table. It may ride against your back while walking and then rotate around to your chest when you need to access it. The firearm has to remain where you expect it to be throughout all of that, not approximately, not somewhere inside the correct pocket. It needs to remain in a predictable position. The grip needs to be accessible with nothing obstructing it, nothing pressing against it, and nothing tangled around it. Because access begins before you touch the zipper. Access begins with knowing exactly where the pistol is. This is where structure matters. The ITS bag reinforces its concealed carry mounting field with HDPE. That provides the mounting surface with more structure than an unsupported fabric wall. The Savior provides a dedicated hidden compartment with a mounting panel and a foam spacer that's intended to improve access to the firearm. The compartment's outer panel also expands to reduce printing. The DSCB provides an interior hook and loop lined pocket for repeatable equipment placement. Uh, but it's also an extremely lightweight drawstring bag. Broke Village explicitly says that it was designed to sit low and away from the body. That is not automatically good or bad. Sitting low and away from the body may be comfortable. It may feel less restrictive and it may help the bag remain casual. But it also raises the question about movement. How much does the bag swing? How easily can I stabilize it? And does the equipment remain oriented when the bag shifts? Does the mounting pocket stay in the same place relative to my hand? Those are not criticisms. I want to make that clear. They're simply design questions. And because we're only looking at confirmed construction today, those are exactly the things that need to be physically tested before reaching a conclusion. The Victos is the most structured and equipment focused bag here, but it's also 44 liters. It has internal MOLLE webbing for securing a short rifle and other equipment, a separate padded pistol compartment, magazine storage, shoe storage, compression straps, and stowable backpack straps. That structure may help isolate and protect the firearm, but the size introduces another issue. The firearm may remain beautifully oriented inside the bag, while the entire bag is nowhere near your hand. Orientation inside the compartment only matters if the compartment itself remains predictably accessible, which takes us to the next problem that we will solve next time. Thank you again for watching and spending a little bit of time with me today. If you have found any of this helpful, please like, comment, subscribe, and share it with a friend. I know I'm cutting it short today. Like I said at the beginning of the video, I want to make this one a little bit more easily digestible. There is a lot of content here, and I don't want to overload anybody or myself at the same time. Have a great one, everybody.